Hey, everybody, welcome to Chai and Gary's conversation about what's going on around Manchester United, life in general, and life during COVID-19. Have with me Girish. Girish, why don't you tell me something about yourself?
Yeah, look, we wanted to do this for a long time, Chai. We've kind of
Yeah, we
spoken
have
about
been,
it
haven't
for a
we?
long time,
Yeah,
and it's got to a point where we've kind of. I think it's the right time to do it. With COVID, we're all stuck at home. Well, some of us are.
yeah.
uh,
Well,
it's yeah,
some have
it's
been luckier than others, I guess, in that
yeah,
respect.
yeah. I think look,
Yeah,
we got to try something different. So yeah, I think it's
and I think it's important to kind of go along the path of talking about United in general because we've been fans since basically since I can remember, right? Um, and then there have been certain circumstances that haven't fit the bill in terms of what we know about United or what we knew about United and how things are shaping up. If you know what I mean, it's like there's something wrong, and I can't put my finger on it. So I think it's a good thing to talk and kind of tease out the nuances of what's been going around United thus far.
yeah. Look, you know. I think the both of us, we've been quite lucky and unlucky in a lot of aspects because we've seen
Mm,
United through the highest point, winning the
yeah,
Champions League, winning the treble and things like that, winning
yeah,
league to league titles like it was nothing. And now we've reached a point where, we're struggling to reach fourth. I mean, like, come on. It's just,
yeah. What has happened? I mean, look, the last season um, with Sir Alex, I guess, was probably the way it culminated after that. I think it has. I don't know if it's lack of ambition or the Glazers' ownership, or I can't put my finger on it. So you know what? Let me start by asking you this question, right? So you've watched United while you were growing up, and
religiously.
great things. Yeah, like the great things is achieved over the time, and we have been in competition with the likes of Arsenal, um, the likes of Chelsea when they started to get more money through investments, and we've fought them off, and we fought them off courageously. At this point, I can't believe we've gone from challengers or incumbent champions to a point where we are okay with Champions League. Is it is it what we've come to? Are we the new Arsenal? Are we Are we the old Manchester City? I don't know. Where do you think it's going, and why do you think we are where we are?
Look, man, I still get nightmares of where we are now.
Yeah.
We are so far behind the pack. It's not even funny, right? And I think, look,
Mm,
it's hard to pinpoint to what's gone wrong to just one thing, but I think it's a culmination of different things that have come into play. I think the
yeah.
biggest problem that I've kind of noticed is that the Manchester United as a whole just lacks structure and direction on where they want to go. It's
Mm,
like, there's no direction from the board on what we want to do. Are we
sure.
looking for ourselves to be title challengers, or are we looking at ourselves to be, like basically Champions League qualifiers?
Financial
Like, I mean, like,
stability.
yeah, like, I mean, it's just all over the place. And, I look at it, okay, look, maybe it's going to be a bit of a rant, right? But I want to do
Mhm,
it. I want to do it as a rant with actual facts around the rant. So I just want to
mhm.
I just don't want to go around on a rant without any reasons on why I'm ranting, right? So I think at the
Sure.
first instance, you've got to look at the ownership of the club, right?
Mhm.
So Manchester United, as you know, are owned by the Glazers. They are
Yeah.
American billionaires sitting, in Florida. They bought the
Mhm.
club on a debt,
Yeah.
which the debt keeps raising every year, and they
But it's
they
quite smart business from a business standpoint. I think it was very smart at the time
yeah
they bought into it.
yeah like
I
look,
think.
they bought United at the highest point where United were, right? I mean, United were
Yeah.
generating a lot of money. They were a
Mhm,
well-known club. It's a
mhm.
very good, it's a popular brand. I mean, from an investment
Yes.
standpoint, you've kind of ticked all your boxes, right?
Right.
And I think the issue is that they don't understand football, and they don't have the capacity to be able to provide feedback, or to be able to manage the club by themselves.
Mhm.
So
Right.
it's a bit like this, right? If you're a you know if you're looking to buy a house, right? The bank being the glazers, right?
Yeah.
They will give uh, the property developer some money, right? But end of the day, it's up to the property developer to you know develop the property and to sell the
Enhance
house.
the inherent value, I guess.
Yeah, so it's just like, I just feel like, they've hired Ed Woodward and Matt Judge and all these people
Hmm.
who have really no idea about the footballing side of things. They're very good. Don't get me wrong, they're very, very good bankers, but they've got
Yeah.
no idea about what goes around on running a football club. So I think there's
Sure.
just a lack of structure on the club right now, as it stands, and
Absolutely.
that's kind of hurting us in the long run.
Absolutely. I think, when you think about Manchester United as a problem, you can break it down into a lot of different levers. That's put us where we are, right? So when you think about it as an overall business problem, you can say, okay, you know what? There's an aspect of leadership. There's an aspect of management. There's an aspect of these are all non-football issues. Obviously, that's what I'm trying to say, right?
Mm,
And there are footballing issues as well, I guess, when it comes to on-field personnel management, I guess, and then what's happening literally during a game, tactics, and uh, people not playing to their potential, if you may put it that way, right? Now, I don't know. I haven't seen a United squad with a with such lack of leadership that has been since Rio and Vidic left, right? Because they were the last known established captains, I guess, and they literally bled United, right?
mm,
Now after that, there have been like these different managers having different philosophies, having different tactics. I guess that has changed people's perception about how to play football on the field, or it's kind of confused them. So every manager who's come up has always tried to clean up the shit, excuse my
yeah.
French, but clean up the shit of the previous manager
Yeah.
and clean up the tactics that were devised by previous managers. I think Van Gaal, Moyes, Mourinho, and Solskjaer are completely different in the way they approach football from fundamentally.
Mm,
And each one of them bought players who they believed will perform to their this thing. So that's the on-field sort of problems we're having. And off the field, you said, the lack of structure and Ed Woodward being a banker rather than a football person is causing the off-field problems. And there are obviously the fans who are obviously creating this desire, or a false desire to maybe put it that way, and expect United to be the United of the 2000s, right? So I think there are a lot of moving parts to this puzzle, I guess. If we could have figured it out, we would have, or if people could have figured it out, they would have. But this leads me on to the next question, right? Which is, yeah, you have bankers running this club, so they're obviously smart people when it comes to money. Why do we always seem to spend more money for players than other clubs? So what I'm trying to say here is, I think we pay a United premium. Now, let me give you an example, right? Harry Maguire, if Tottenham were to buy him, they would have gotten him at about 60 million, right?
Even less, maybe.
Or maybe less, right? At this point
Yeah.
in time, yeah, maybe less.
Yeah.
But why do we have to pay 80 million odd for someone who's, in my opinion, bang average, but he's English, so obviously that determines the premium, I guess, a part of it. And he's being scouted by United, which gives the other incremental premium, if you may call it, right? So why, in your opinion, aren't bankers who are essentially there to squeeze every dollar from a deal paying lavish money to get players who are, I guess, average?
Look, I today's theme is all going to be around the structure of the club, right? I think
Yeah,
fundamentally there's something really wrong with Manchester United from the foundations, right? When you're trying to build a house, you got to make sure that your foundations are strong, right? There's no point you trying to build a house if your foundations are weak. And I think the problem
yeah,
with United is that the foundations, when it comes to footballing, from a footballing standpoint, it's just not there. Like we don't,
Yeah.
the issue with United is that, when you look at the top 10 clubs around Europe, all of those clubs have hired a director of football to a certain capacity.
Hmm.
The job of the director of football is to basically be the conduit between the manager and the owners of the club.
I
Right
guess
now,
so. So it's translating, I guess, financial incentives to actual footballing means, I guess.
yeah. So the job of the director of football is to basically have a roadmap of where the club wants to go in 5 to 10 years, and basically have a philosophy that
Right.
is basically set in stone for the next managers and the managers after that to kind of follow.
Hmm.
So there's a framework there that's already been set up for the managers
Yes.
to succeed, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like with Manchester United, as you've touched on, right, we've gone through the Moyes, the Mourinho's,
Yeah.
the Van Hals, now Solskjaer. Every one of these managers has got their own philosophy and
Right.
their own thinking around how the teams need to play. And because of
Hmm.
that, you've kind of ended up with this jigsaw of players, right? It's
Right.
it's basically a bad jigsaw puzzle. You've got players, you know, from even from Van Gaal's era that are still at the club, and we've still not been able to offer them, and it's just causing a
Rojo
lot.
is an example, right?
Yeah, I mean Rojo, like I
Rojo
mean
was
Jones, like
where
I
is
mean
he?
Jones is
Where is
actually
Rojo?
Ferguson's time, right? It's
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Smalling is still there. So yeah, I guess. Yeah, go on. Sorry,
Yeah,
cut
so
you
like
off.
I know Solskjaer is trying his best to kind of change that, but I think as if we aspire to be a top 10, top 5 European club, then we've got to have
Hmm.
a director of football there. I mean, the manager's not going to be able to do it on his own, and
Who do
I
you
just
think are potential candidates now? Yes, we've spoken about this director of football, and a lot of people have talked about it, and we've been going on and on ever since Van Gaal, I guess.
mm,
I think Mourinho wanted a lot of, I guess, structure and decision making with his own transfer, so he didn't want a director of football.
yeah,
Um, so that kind of became a moot point during his reign. But the managers before and after, I guess, and Solskjaer is after. But I think we need one, and we need a strong personality, and we need someone to be cutthroat, right? So Roy Keane-ish kind of a director of football, right? And I'm not saying Roy Keane is a definite thing, but someone of that caliber, and I think, um, how do I put it? It's someone who's very staunch about
yeah.
certain belief.
I think the thing is that to be honest, I don't know how. Look, I'm not nothing against Roy Keane. I think he was a great Manu captain, and he
Hmm.
did. He was probably one of the best captains that Manu ever had.
Hmm.
But I think the game has changed somewhat right now, and I think a
Hmm.
personality like I mean because there's a lot of psychology that goes into what players go through nowadays. Back in the day there was no social media, there was no like marketing and all that. It was like a bare minimum. You would go to the club, you would train,
Hmm.
and then you'll get ready for
Yeah.
the weekend. But now players are forced to do. There's a lot of other things that players have to do. It's beyond just playing football. There's like Marcus
Hmm.
Rashford for the matter. He's done a lot for the kids in the UK. So there's all these different things that kind of go into the puzzle. And I think
Sure.
that with play people like Roy Keane don't really understand that. The I think the problem with some of the ex-menu,
Keane might have been
yeah,
like a bad
they're
example, but
very, like
mm,
really it's like his way or the highway, and I don't think
sure.
this day and age it really works. Your management
Hmm.
style has to be quite malleable. You've got to
Hmm.
be quite a bit more softer. I guess that's
Sure.
a yeah. So you can't treat players like how you would have like 20 years ago. It's not going to work.
Absolutely.
But I
Hmm.
think going to your point on director of football, I think, look, I really like Van der Sar as a director of football.
Hmm.
I'm gonna sing the
That's true.
Van der Beek, man. What a signing,
What a
man!
signing, actually. Yeah.
That guy, man. He 40 million euros. That was nothing,
Yeah.
right? And you know what? Have you heard his
Absolutely.
song? Have you heard of his song?
No, I haven't.
Or you want to
Actually, I
hear
have.
it?
No. But yeah, go on. If you're in a mood to sing it, yeah. Are you gonna sing it
Don't.
now?
Yeah, yeah. I will. I'm just trying to think of it. I don't want to
My
screw it
ears are
up.
gonna bleed. My ears
Donny
are gonna
van der
bleed.
Beek, Van der Beek, Donny van der
Donny
Beek.
van der Beek.
Na na na
Yeah,
na 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 na
exactly.
na na. Donny van der
Look,
Beek,
that's
Van der Beek, Donny van der Beek.
you know
uh,
what? That was smart business, right?
he
Let's
was,
actually go into that transfer since you brought it up. I
yeah.
think that was a smart transfer. This smart transfer happened because I think on both sides of the table, there were people looking for the good of United as a whole. Now, what I mean by that is there was one side of the table with Solskjaer and him wanting a more authoritative midfield, like a midfield player. On the other hand, you had Van der Sar, that who's the negotiating party, right? Did I get that right? I think it's Van der Sar that was negotiating
Yeah,
with.
Van der Sar was basically like he was
Mhm.
basically negotiating between Solskjaer and 'cause, I mean this deal, like forget
Correct.
Ed Woodward, right? It was all
Right. Exactly.
Solskjaer and Van der Sar.
And
Like
Van
Ed
der Sar.
Woodward
So
was not
both
even there, and because of that, we got the deal done in like 3 days.
in 3 days.
3 days.
Exactly. Exactly. And we I don't think we've overpaid for him. I think he came
If anything, we've underpaid for him, I'd say.
underpaid for him, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, the likes of the bigger clubs were looking at him as well. So let me ask you this, right? Now, Van der Beek, we're all singing praises and stuff like that for Van der Beek. He's young, he's talented, he's obviously going to grow into someone who's going to become like Paul Scholes, let's say, right? A legend of the club. Having said that, I think Herrera was just as good. And every time he played, he brought out that passion for playing for United,
Mm.
right? Unfortunately, played under questionable management and tactics, yes. But I still remember the game against Chelsea where he literally had Hazard in his pocket, right?
Mm.
All he did was man mark him, and he did that entire game,
Mm.
right? Entire game. So he is obviously talented. Now, whether he's better than Van der Beek or not is not my question,
Mm.
but very similar style of playing, right?
Mm.
Very similar style of midfield hold up play or creativity, whatever, what have you. Why do we let certain good players go while we have Andreas Pereira on the other hand? Apart from the goal, I think he scored against Southampton, pretty worldy, which was ranked probably United's best goal that season, but I think it was last season under Jose. But why do we have Pereira? What is he doing? Is he on the bench? If he's on the bench, what is he doing on the bench? Players like Dalot, right back, no point of him being there.
Mm.
Is he even on the bench? Why are we playing wages? Look, if I were being my dream employer would be Manchester United because I just need to show up for training, not play a game, and my paycheck's going to be there at the end of the week, right? What's happening?
Look, there like I said, there's some serious problems at the club. Like
Mm.
we're struggling to offload players as it is. Like there's talks about the Sancho deal now not happening because we don't have money. That's it's a big
Yeah, of
circus right
course,
now.
because it's fucking playing for Phil Jones being there.
The bigger question is why are we giving contract renewals to players like Phil Jones, Marcus Rojo, and all that? Like what's the thinking behind the club? And what I really want to know is who's actually making the call, because we don't have a director of football. Is it Ed Woodward or is it the manager like Solskjaer? Like who's actually making the call? I just
Yeah,
struggle to understand.
the
We've got one of the highest wage structures in Europe right now as a club. Real, maybe I don't know. Maybe Real or City might be higher than us, but you know, we've got such a bloated squad right now. We've got so many players. I mean, like, people like Phil Jones won't even make our bench right now. What is the point of getting him? What?
they're as bloated as I would be the morning after I've had 24 beers, too. That's exactly how it'd be.
Oh,
But
paneer butter masala, my friend.
exactly,
Let's have
that's
that.
right. That's right. A curry after beers, and next morning I'd be
uh,
so bloated because there's so much. Exactly. No, but it's insane. It's insane when you think about it, right? So we have the worst players and we have the highest wage bill. That doesn't add up, in my opinion, right? So let's say you did have Ronaldo, you did have Bale on your this thing, who are quality players when they were quality, right? But how can you not? How can you have Pereira, Smalling, Fred, Matic, who's probably might as well start walking with a bloody cane in his hand? Um, it's how can we have the highest wage bill for players who won't even make, let's say, do you think Pereira will make a lead squad. I don't think they need Pereira.
Look, I'm a bit torn about the squad right now for Man United because
Mm-hmm.
I honestly believe that we're not getting the best out of our players, right? I think we can get a lot out of the second tier players right now, but we just
Absolutely.
don't seem to be able to get that out of them. And I think that kind of boils down to coaching, right? When you talk about the likes of Pogba, Bruno,
Mm,
Martial, maybe Rashford even to some extent, these are world class players, right? With world class players, coaching is really not required because they've got so much technical ability. For them it comes down to simple instructions, for the coaches to pass on to them. But then when
oh,
you've got young players, young
mm,
upcoming players in the team, people like even like Greenwood, I worry about them because they don't really have the fundamentals. They don't have the strong fundamentals to take them to the
mm,
next level, right?
correct.
I think we struggle right now because there's a big gap between the A level players and the B level players. That
So let me ask
gap.
you this question since you brought it up. So who in your opinion classifies as A level? Let's give some
Well,
perspective about it,
all
right?
right, that's a good question. I would say Martial is world class. Okay, I'm just talking about world class players, right? I'd say
World class in United squad or world class world
I'd
class?
say
Because
world
that's
class, world class. Yeah, I'll say
okay.
world class, right? Forget
Okay.
about United. I'm just talking. If you're talking about the global stage, Martial
Mm-hmm.
is world class. Pogba is world
Mm-hmm.
class.
Yes.
De Gea was world class. But apart from
Mhm.
that, like I honestly,
I think Bruno probably
Bruno.
can fit.
Look, Bruno.
Divided
Look,
about Bruno.
no, he is a very good player. He is a
Yeah.
strong leader. But I think
Yes.
we've still not seen the best of Bruno, and I can't really say if it's world class until
Mm,
we go through this current season. Because I think
yeah.
actually Van der
To
Beek I think
judge
is
him
world
on,
class as well. I would say Van der Beek.
or
We've got four world
you
class
think
players.
so?
Yeah, I think Van der Beek's world class. You trust me, man. He is going to have the same impact as Bruno. You watch and see.
It's interesting. It's interesting, right? It's interesting. So out of the players, oh, you said you forgot about Martial. So you forgot about Rashford. I think
Yeah,
Rashford
look,
be world class as
I think
well.
Rashford still got a way to go. I don't think he's world class just yet. He's not consistent.
Um,
He
dude,
needs some coaching. He needs coaching.
he's you know what? I think in this day and age, we expect a lot from youngsters, right? I think we do because the way he exploded on on the United scene back in when I think it was Van Hal, and then it was a Europa League game. I can't remember against who. And then he just came on because he didn't even know he was playing. He knew he was on the bench, but somebody got injured the previous day, and then he started playing the next morning, right? And
Mm.
scores a couple of goals, I think. And then he does that against Arsenal as well. But what I'm trying to say is, in comparison, I think when Rooney was 16 or 18 or whenever he actually became a United player, I I don't think Rooney carried the same amount of burden on his shoulders as Rashford does today, or comparatively when Rooney was 22 and when Rashford is actually 21, 22. I don't think Rooney carried that much of burden, primarily because of what he just said. Football's developed, a lot more people are watching, a lot of expectations. And when Rooney joined the squad, there was an established striker with us. There was an established striker. In I think Nistelrooy was still there when Rooney was coming along. I think there was Saha floating around here and there as well. But they were established players. He didn't have to carry the team himself. Now Rashford coming at 21, Rashford and Martial and Greenwood have to carry United up top.
Yeah. So look, I think the problem right now is that there's just not enough leaders in the club.
There's no one to aspire to, right? So let's say
Yeah.
you join United.
Yeah.
Who the hell are you going to really base your game on? Rashford. Rashford is an unproven talent, right? Martial is an unproven talent. You as Greenwood, who do you aspire to be? You aspire to be Green. Do you aspire to be Rashford, or do you aspire to be like Cristiano, right?
Yeah.
So
So
somebody on Juventus will aspire, right?
there's just not enough leaders. I think the key thing that happened to us last season was that January transfer window, right? Up to
Mm-hmm.
January, we were dire, right? We were.
Oh
I,
my
I was
God,
quite,
dude.
I was quite surprised
Oh,
if we were
fuck.
actually in the top half of the table come January,
I
right?
don't think we deserve to be. Mm.
We it was just so bad. And then Bruno came in, and then the enthusiasm and like that I'll give it to Bruno, right? He has just
Yeah.
lifted the morale, right? We were
Yes.
we were nowhere to be seen. I can't even believe we finished third last season, man. I can't
Uh,
even believe it. Like it's insane the impact that he's had
It's
single-handedly to carry the whole
look,
team through.
because last season, in my opinion, was a bit of washed season as well, right? It was like when Leicester won their league. No offense to Leicester, but they played really well that season. But it's a function of other teams not playing well as opposed to we playing well, right? We played, I think, a cumulative of 10 to 12 games well last season, right? When you think about a scope of 38 games, we played about 12 games out of this world. So
We
that's
did remarkably well against the top six teams. Like we just beat
exactly,
them, except Liverpool. You know.
except, yeah, but Liverpool's another level anyway right
Yeah.
now. So, but what I'm trying to say is, I think we've played 12 games well, and that 12 games got us to where we were, which means to say Chelsea consistently dropped points, Arsenal consistently dropped points, Tottenham consistently dropped points. Tottenham wasn't even in the reckoning, right, last season because they had a shit season, to be quite honest. And what
Shit
worries me
manager as
more,
well.
yeah, shit manager as well. I'm glad Jose is there, but um,
Useless prick.
yeah, exactly. So he's going to ruffle some feathers. Dele Alli is going to fucking throw a shit fit. He's
Dele Alli is
he,
gone. He's going to leave.
he's gone now. You know what? Every time a relationship goes bad, and I mean to say player and manager, for some reason that burning bird lies at Manchester United, right? It falls on Manchester United. And see, because Gareth Bale was linked when he was having issues with Zidane at this thing, and we're linked with Dele Alli to some say that might happen, some say it doesn't. But we're always going for the low hanging fruit, right? And to some degree, I I don't know what to say because when you go through the entirety of United, as we brought it up over and over again with regards to transfers and things not happening, we needed to have a structure. And please feel free to elaborate on it. Right? We have a shit back four, we have a great midfield, and we have a developing forward line. Right? We need to do business as smart as Liverpool did. They knew their mistakes, they went and sorted it out. Right? They said, I'm going to spend money on Van Dijk. They went and did that, showed off their defense. They knew they had the trio up front who's going to get them goals, and they slowly transitioned into strengthening their midfield, which is what they're doing even today with Thiago and stuff like that. Right? We have no structure. We'll say we want a left back one day, we want a right back one day. We'll say, okay, you know what, we're in a striker. But how do you address that problem?
Again, it's not structure within the team itself, but structure within the club, right?
Mm,
I think that having a director of football will kind of,
mm,
address a lot of the problems because, like I've said, we've gone through 4 managers in the period of 7 to 8 years, right? Like
mm,
the team has been chopped and changed so many times that,
mm-hmm.
even, yeah, I don't know. I can't even think of a painting that, looks worse than this, but yeah, it's just gone through so many, iterations and there's all these managers bringing their own players in. It's
Yeah.
just come to a point where the team is so incoherent, right? And there's no,
Yeah.
like, when the managers buy the players, they're
Yeah.
looking at the player from the current team that they're playing at. They're not looking at the
Mm,
player on how he's going to fit into the system that Man United want to play. That's
sure.
the problem. I'll take Wan-Bissaka, right? For example, I think Wan-Bissaka is an amazing player. He's amazing defensively, but going forward, let's not kid ourselves, right? I
He's
think
shit.
he could really work on that. But the problem is like Man United, like we just look at the player from one of his attributes,
That's
defending, right? But is the fullback going to be defending all of the time? You know, like is that his only job? If that's his only job,
mm,
then that's well and good. But he's going to be expected to go up forward, and when he's
right.
not able to deliver going forward, then I think I look at that as a failing, right? Like I
Mm-hmm.
mean, what are we trying to do as a team? You know, there's just no
Which
structure
is,
within the team on how we want to play. I mean,
I think,
Ole has done
but,
really well bringing the right characters and all that as he calls it. But I think
mm,
he still needs some help. He needs some direction on the players that needs to be bought. the direction on how the club wants to play, and
Right.
he needs a lot better coaches around him. Like I cannot go on about that
A
anymore. You
hundred
know
percent,
how
hundred
critical I am.
percent, dude. Let me be honest, right? Now, I asked myself, right? So because I've been aspiring, I've been looking at United during its glory days and stuff like that, and thankfully we had such a great leader. But would Ole ever coach the current top six? Would he even be considered for a City job or a Chelsea job or whatever? Right? He, I have nothing against him. He's a club legend. He's fantastic. But as you rightly pointed out, Wan-Bissaka, right? He needs somebody to train him to go forward, right? And to put the balls in that that Martial can feed off or Rashford can feed off or whatever it is, right? Who's going to train him? Do you trust Carrick, McKenna, and Solskjaer to drill that into him? No, it's not going to happen. You need someone with more experience, more credibility to come and say, you know what you're doing is bullshit, mate. Just
Yeah,
do
like,
the do the necessary defending. It's all 80-20, right? It's
yeah,
all 80-20. What I mean by that is um, you focus most efforts on something that will give you the biggest results, right?
mm,
You prioritize, basically, right?
mm,
His defensive skills sets are there. Why don't you start focusing on how he is going forward? It just doesn't make sense. So name one player apart from Martial. No, I'd give that to Ole because I think he's improved his morale and his headspace more than
mm,
anything else.
mm,
For Martial, I don't think his quality has improved. Quality was always there.
mm,
Name some other players, like a set of two or three, that Ole has actually developed.
mm.
It's I can't see it unless you can, because people are playing to their potential.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That's
Look,
yeah,
I think the success of Ole will be heavily reliant on who's his backroom staff is, right? I think Ole has
absolutely.
got the capability because he's a fantastic man manager. When Jose left his club, we were in the ruts, right? We were so bad. The morale was down. I thought Martial was going to leave, Pogba was going to leave, and then Ole came in, and suddenly
Mm,
we started winning games like freaking hell. We beat Cardiff 5-0,
that's
in his first game. Like, I mean,
yeah,
that's insane. Like he just brought this renewed enthusiasm within the club. Like there was so much
Gary. I think
positivity.
it's just exactly. So I
But
think
I
it's
think,
the
yeah,
mhm,
it, that
function of
that
a bad omen leaving, right? So
yeah.
people properly, right?
But the thing is that that bounce they get from a new manager can only last so long.
Yeah,
It'll
so
get to
long,
a point
exactly.
where you know we need to
It
we need to
fizzles
look
out,
at the
right?
coaching and as a whole and really drill into that and look at what's going to what kind of way do we want to play. Like, I mean, there's so many ways, but I just feel that with the squad right now, we're just not getting the
Mm,
best out of the players right now.
mm.
And I think
No, I don't think so.
Ole Ole, I
It's,
fear for Ole because I think that this season, the first half of this season is going to go really bad for him because
mm,
I don't know if you had a chance to look at the fixtures list, but we've got two Brighton
mm,
games. We've got
yeah.
Tottenham. I know we've got Chelsea, I believe. We've got Arsenal.
Oh
Oh
man,
man, we are so screwed.
dude.
We are so dead.
I and regardless, right? Now, this is my question.
Oh, you dropped out.
You have breed Crystal Palace.
Sorry, you just dropped out for a second.
I think the connections.
Oh, okay, you're back on.
Yeah, yeah. No, what I mean to say is like even with a midfield of Pereira or perceived quality of Pereira, Scott McTominay and people like we always cuss out at these players because they're easier targets, right? We should still be putting up performance against Crystal Palace. We can't lose. We can't lose 3-1 at home, right? First game of the season. How do you explain that? I know we've spoken about Ole and his teams and this and that, but don't the players want to play and win for United? Is that completely gone?
Look, to be fair, I think we've lacked some match fitness. We've had
Mm,
one friendly after the Europa League. We've
yeah.
had players. I mean, Pogba had COVID. It was his first.
How does he
He barely.
start?
How does he
How
start?
does he
Look,
start?
that's a question for the coaching staff. Like, I honestly don't
Mm,
know. Van de Beek was on the bench. We could have brought him in and
Hmm.
we could have had him in. Yeah, I just think.
We could have had him start the game, no?
Yeah, so it's just I don't know, man. It's just
I
that's
don't
why
know,
I think
man.
the coaching, man, the coaching needs to improve. Like we can't go in like this.
Mm,
Like,
absolutely. Now, what do you think about the Brighton game coming up? I care about the fixtures, but today is
well,
Brighton.
here's the good thing. We've got 2 games against Brighton, so it'll be a best of.
Yeah, so if you don't feel,
Yeah, if you lose the first
if you
one,
don't
you've still got
perform
the
well,
second one.
yeah, maybe that's what Ole needs for a
Yeah.
bloody
Honestly, I
disaster.
would rather us win the Premier League one and go out on the League Cup
Ah,
if I was choosing. Because I think, look, let's face it, we're not going to win the League Cup. We're not going to win the FA Cup. We're definitely not going to win the
we're in
Champions
the
League.
Champions League, dude.
I just
Jesus
want
Christ,
us. I just,
imagine.
as low as my expectations are, I just think I want us to hopefully get back into top 4 and to get past the group stages of Champions League. Anything else is a bonus. That's
Is that
that's
what we've
my
become, huh?
that's what we've become,
Is that
man.
what we've become?
That's the expectation. Okay, let me ask you this:
Hmm.
Jadon Sancho, do you think is coming?
Oh my God, dude. Talking about Jadon Sancho, you know what it is like. It's like you're aspiring for a dream job. It's almost there, but the company's giving you like these snippets saying, "Okay, I think we'll have you, but I'm not sure. Now is not the right time." I think that's the problem with Jadon Sancho, right? So I believe he wants to come, and I think that's been the worst kept secret about him and his aspirations to join United.
It's a bit like
Uh,
Ole is like this boyfriend who's trying to court.
yeah,
Jadon Sancho's this beautiful girl, and he's just trying to court and he's caught and he's begging and then Dortmund,
it's
which is the father comes in and
uh-huh.
says, no, you can't have it.
Yeah,
You gotta buy you gotta come with
that
your
sounds really
Ferrari, and you gotta give me
that
a
sounds really
Ferrari, and
bad
then
though. But he's like an Indian parent, right?
yeah, it's like,
Parent. So Dortmund
that's
is
the
like an
dowry.
Indian
Give me the
dad.
dowry, yeah. You want?
Dowry is way back in the past, dude. But anyway, so what I'm trying to say is, it's like the dad will question, saying, "Okay, what credentials do you have? Why should I give?
Mm.
What is the currency that I'll get in return?" And it's the you know what? If all the written journalism is true, right? And I don't think about 95% is true, but it's about paying $2 extra for having this world class thing in the grand scheme of things, right? Let's say you go out and buy a beer, right? I'm not going to drink Asahi because it's $2 more expensive than bloody a hangover central TED extra, or whatever you want to call
Yeah.
it, right? You don't want to pay those $2, but you're okay to live with the hangover post it, right?
Mm.
So that's the trade-off you're making. You pay the $2, you'll be less hungover tomorrow. That's the way I see it.
Mm.
And if you can't pay the $2 extra, then what is stopping us? You stop paying Phil Jones, you can afford him, no problem. Where is Dalot? That's my biggest fucking fight with this club, right?
Phil
If
Jones,
I'm
man, that guy,
Phil
if
Jones,
there was an
dude,
oxygen thief,
that
if the
guy.
definition of oxygen thief, Phil Jones would
Oh,
be, you know what? I'm going to go
Jones.
onto, what's the Webster's dictionary? I'm going to tell them to change the
Yeah,
definition of oxygen thief to Phil Jones.
yeah,
Phil
absolutely.
Jones.
How is he still making money, dude? I wish I could be employed by someone who just pays me money to run around in the field and wear pink boots. I would do that, no problem. I'd do that.
And sit at the injury table like
Exactly. And always,
95% of the time.
always. Yeah.
Mm.
So his life mistake, and his contract was renewed. Tell me why? Right? I don't understand this. Look, I think we're in shambles, right? I think we can go on till the sun comes out, and still we wouldn't have resolved the problem. Um, Basically, I think, as you rightly pointed out, Glazers are a bit of an issue. I think they need someone with a footballing sense as a footballing director.
I
In
don't,
their
I
top.
don't, I don't really, I don't really think Glazers themselves are an issue. I mean, look, the Glazers have, look, they've spent about close to $1 billion, right, of
Yeah.
their money on this club. They've invested heavily, but the problem
Mm-hmm.
is that money has been invested very, very poorly. So
Mm-hmm.
we, Ed Woodward needs to get a kick up his ass, and he needs to get,
Mm-hmm.
a director of football in the club to really help him,
Yeah.
because if I'm the Glazers, I look at Ed Woodward and say, look, are you really going to fail me again? Like, you've
Mm-hmm.
had four different
Exactly.
managers. how long can this continue? Because I'm putting money into the club. I want to see return on investment. Where's my return? How many league titles have you won? How much money have you brought in?
So it's a good point you bring up, but wouldn't that mean at some point Glazers run out of patience with Ed Woodward? At some point they should, right?
Well, I don't know, because he's still making them a lot of
bastard who
money.
says it's not.
He's
Yeah,
all the
what, like marketing
shareholders
deals?
meetings and all that. Oh yeah, we made a lot of money. We made a lot of money. And it's just
Anyways,
you know what the I think the Evra, I don't know if you had a chance to look at Evra's rant.
yeah, I did. Man,
It was just so
he's just
like
come
telling
out
about
and
how the club is right now.
revolutionized. Yeah.
Like I'm just so happy that he's come out and he's put everything on the table and he's just kind of spelled it out how it is. I'm just so happy that it's getting a bit more traction, and hopefully Manchester United as a club take heed, take note.
Yes. Yes.
And hopefully,
dude, it wouldn't affect anybody as long as people buy these bloody scarves and shit like that, right? They don't give a shit. They do not give a shit. They'll be making money. That's no problem for them. I mean, I know we can dwell into this a lot longer, but the Brighton game starting in about some time.
Yeah, is the lineup out? Did you see?
I think it should be.
Yeah, let's see who's playing. I'm quite curious. I'm going to say midfield. I'm just worried about the midfield. I hope Fred, Van de Beek.
Oh no, dude. Yeah, okay.
Bruno.
Fred, I can do. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Oh, lineup's out.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
No, don't play Daniel James.
Pogba and Matic, freaking midfield. We are screwed.
And Bruno.
Bruno in the middle. Oh my God. And Maguire and Lindelof. Oh my God.
Oh my God. Fucking. So the A team's out again now.
Yeah, A team, man. Bring it on.
Who are top three? As in who playing up top? Martial, Rashford, and Greenwood?
Yeah. No surprises there.
No surprise. So James is not playing.
James is on the look. I think we're gonna draw this game. Watch and see. That's my prediction. 1-1.
I have a feeling we might lose it, dude. Are we playing at home? No.
We're playing away.
1-0 to Brighton, I'd say.
You reckon?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
We'll see anyway. I'm not being negative, but I think Brighton's been on a slightly better path in terms of results, I guess, than we have. I guess we'll wait and see anyway. But I will see you in about 2 hours.
2 hours, yeah.
But good chat anyway. Hope
yeah,
you're keeping
safe. Nice to have a chat again. And it's good that we finally started this.
We'll yeah. Good, man. I'll speak to you soon, okay?
All right. Thanks, mate. Cheers.
Okay. Thanks, buddy. Bye.